The recording is going again now. Um, so the eruption uh, had occurred about 3 months after you left, and
Okay.
you took the expedition to the Isle of Dread about a year after you left, so 9 months after the eruption. So if you had gone back in time 2 years from the last point in time where you had been on the world, you would now be let's see, so 5 months advanced from that. So you would be roughly 7 months. No, it'd be sorry, trying to do math from two different directions.
That's
Um,
okay. Yeah.
so plus nine. So you'd be roughly 4 months. You have 4 months until the event. If
Got it.
if your understanding of where you are in time is
If
correct.
my gnomish mind got out of the rocks and understood time to that to that extent.
Hmm. You had to sit and think about it for a while and draw yourself some diagrams and think about it while you were on your journey.
Okay. So, according to my calculations, there are 4 months left, give or take a week or two, or a month or two, possibly a year or two, until this eruption happens.
Correct.
Okay. We'll call this E Day, Eruption Day, about 4 months. I am going to continue out of the forest
Hmm.
and I'm going to go onto the trails and continue up towards the entrance of the city.
Okay. So you work your way up the trails, and the ground slowly rises as you pass through layers of conifer and deciduous forests. You see signs of nature all around. And roll a survival check.
Oh, man. In my own hometown? Brutal. Oh, 20 for the day. That's a
Nice.
good one. I'll take that.
So you realize quickly that you know where you are, and you're like, oh, I used to play here, but this tree's grown up a little bit since the last time, and this has changed slightly. So the the trees and such are slightly different, but the land is all the same, and you've run through all of these hills and all of these forests so many times because perversely you chose to go to you wanted to see the surface world instead of stay down in the gnomish world, which everyone always thought you were weird for, but you spent a lot of time up here on the surface. And so you find your way quickly, and you realize, and you're looking around like, oh, I remember all this stuff, and these rush of memories coming back to you, and then you stop at and you stop and teeter at the edge of a gargantuan footprint. The
You said I
footprint,
stopped at a footprint?
yeah, you stop right at the edge of this huge, just depression that has just been this smooth-sided depression that has just sunk into 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 the soil by about a by about a good 3 feet. And it looks like a giant boot print, about 50 feet long.
Is this something of a threat for a neighbor that I would have remembered?
Uh, roll an
16. What do we
Six.
say Arcana was under?
Arcana is wisdom. Probably wrong on that. Arcana is intelligence.
17. Modified 17.
17. So, um, with a little bit of knowledge, you it looks like a sort of almost the same sort of print that a heavy that a heavy walker that had been used in your home city uh, would make if it were up here on the surface, but nothing ever that heavy ever came up to the surface. So it's kind of an odd place for you to see something like this.
These were dwellers below the mountain.
Yes, yes.
Did
During
they
your time, the gnomes almost never came, ever came above the surface.
um they worked with, so if you said it was a gnome as well?
Yes, this is your hometown, but this is the giant footprint
Yeah.
looks like a piece of heavy machinery, the foot of a piece of heavy
Oh,
machinery that
oh,
is
oh,
gnomish technology.
oh, I understand.
Sorry, I'm not explaining it very well.
No, I think I misheard. And if I'm assuming correctly, I would have been the one that given the orders for it to arise from the surface, or arise to the surface.
Most likely from the alternate set of memories that you kind of experienced when you landed here. It it certainly seemed like the like the version of you that is here is in charge.
Okay. Now, can I recall what this invention looks like, what this contraption looks like? And I dig into my memory files to see if I can see what this looks like, if it is equivalent to what Octavius Prime? No,
Octavius 12.
12. Yes, Octavius 12
Roll an
had
insight check.
his city. Oh, let's keep up the good rolls. 14.
14 with a 14 you with a 14 you think to yourself it's like it's gnomish technology, but it's it's similar to what Octavius Two had, but this seems to be heavier, bigger, um, more intrusive to the environment.
Hmm. Okay. Do I notice where it's headed?
Uh, as you as with you actually, because you rolled a 20 on your survival check, right? So you're so at one so once you notice it and you realize what it is, you look to your left and you look to your right and you see and you see the line of not just not just footprints, but but broken forest going through. The fact that you happen to come across it next to a body of water is one of the reasons that you kind of didn't notice that it was broken through the line that was broken through the foliage and the forest. But looking at the size of the cut, it 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 plowed a good 30-foot wide furrow through the forest, and given the spacing between the feet and the distance of the distance between the footprints, you would estimate this you would estimate the the clockwork that built it to be anywhere between 100 feet to probably 300 feet tall. It would be a juggernaut walking, destroying its way across the landscape.
That is gargantuous to us. Oh my gosh.
The largest one you saw in Octavius Two's arsenal was about 20 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of like it's kind of like knowing, like having seen a monitor lizard before and then finding a Tyrannosaurus Rex track.
Slight difference
Yeah,
in size.
little
Yeah.
difference. Kind of looks like it, but if it was like that, it would be
Just add water.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna continue walking towards the entrance of the I'm extremely distraught at the destruction of the land, knowing what happened, but I'm gonna keep going. Um,
You do
it's gonna have
notice as you were crossing the path of whatever the juggernaut was, that it winds around and seems to the path of destruction seems to wrap around towards one of the far limbs of the mountain.
hmm, does it seem like surveillance steps, or does it seem like it's going towards an area to like gather more resources?
The uh, the cut is fresh, so it's not a well-worn track, so it's not likely to be a patrol.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna keep walking on.
Okay, so you keep following the
Actually,
okay.
I'm gonna start to try to walk towards, but I'm gonna decide to follow the tracks of the giant gnomish technology.
Okay. So, are you going to walk directly in the furrow that is plowed? Are you going to go through the forest,
I'm
maintaining cover on your way through, or are you going to climb through the wreckage?
I'm gonna walk through the tracks, but not jumping into them. I'm gonna like find wherever like split is and cross and making sure that I can stay following the tracks.
Okay. They're pretty easy to follow. There's about 25 feet between each of them, and each of the tracks is about 2.5 feet wide.
Okay.
So so it's these huge, long, narrow feet that seem to push down into the dirt, and then another one goes and plows down into the dirt, and it has a long step on
Okay.
it. The the steps also seem to be like a really a really long foot on the thing as
Like
well.
it's got places to go. It's not just
Uh,
looking around.
like the foot on it is super long.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know, rather than having like lots of small short feet, it's got like a couple of really long feet.
Okay.
Um, so sorry, spaced for a moment.
Okay.
So you're following the tracks, walking through the furrow up the mountain, and roll me a perception check.
Oof. 7.
So you're making your way up the mountain. The uh, the 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 furrow follows a much more gentle slope than the track that you were going to take, um, and uh, and the forest is just and now that you're in the track that it plowed proper, the forest just goes up. I mean, it's like 100-foot tall trees that have just been, a path has been pushed its way through. So on either side of the furrow, you lose visibility pretty quickly. Um, and you're working your way up. You're working your way up the track, um, and when you begin to hear a whirring sound coming from what seems to be not too far away,
Uh-huh.
and you're in the middle of this 30-foot wide cut through the forest. You're feeling kind of exposed.
What am I hearing again? Whirling?
A whirring noise, like a
Whirring.
that
That was a
started off
great,
as kind of far off, but seems to be getting louder.
it was a great sound. I literally envisioned myself in the forest, trees being chopped down. I am going to, I want to make aware of my surroundings and see if I see anything. And also crouch down, not very far, crouch down very gently. Um, touch my hand onto the mountainside and see if I can feel the vibrations of if something is close or this big mechanical thing is far.
What's the gnomish stonecraft ability?
Don't cry. Oop,
There's some gnomish species ability that
yeah, rock gnome.
yeah,
Have a natural inventiveness and hardiness beyond that of other gnomes. Blah, 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 blah.
it gave you something for I'm pretty sure it gives you.
Artificer's lore. Intelligence checks related. No, that's not it.
We'll let you make it as a nature check,
Okay.
which
It
is
did
an
say something that I got like an extra.
yeah, it gave you something when you were dealing with rocks or stones. It's one of those detect slopes, find secret passages type of things that
Oh, I think that was in
was that
the
the one
first
e?
edition.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, because that might be on my other one. See if I can find it.
Well, I'll give it to you on this anyway. So
Okay.
the rocks kind of they they uh they show they 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 sing back to you a feeling of heavy traffic and of almost feels like rolling boulders, falling down a hillside is what they is what they is is what they what your song reflects back to
Can I tell if the song is growing louder or if the song is growing softer?
them. It's more like it was recent rather than uh, rather than long ago
Okay.
is what you're able to tell.
So I'm gonna try to get out of the path and see if I can go. Can you describe like how the trail is for me? Like, are there any, like, is it one solid trail going here and then there's mountainous areas off to the side?
What actually the trail is kind of going around the side of around the edge of the mountain.
Okay.
Where the actual foothills start to go up. It's almost like before it starts getting any bit of steep. The flat before it gets to the mountain. It's paralleling around there like it's going around to the other side of the mountain rather than
Okay.
directly up to it, which is where the path
So
that you had originally been headed to went up to.
Okay, so I'm gonna use my boots of I have my boots of spider climbing on, so I'm just gonna start like going up the mountain to see if I can intersect it in any place or get ahead of it.
Okay. Well, you're still at the very outer foothills of the mountain. So,
Right.
there's nothing to start walking up
Oh, okay.
except trees. Because because whatever the object is that went through the trees, just plowed this big path through the middle of the forest.
Okay. So cover. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that to my advantage and like continue doing that. I see now. So I'm gonna keep walking off the trail, but try to keep track of where um it could potentially, if it's circulating around, like I want to see that that I'm like going in that kind of direction.
Okay. You use your boots as spider climb to climb up the side of one of the trees to kind of get to be able to see above the forest and see what it's doing, see what the land is doing. So you climb up to the top of the trees, and you can clearly see the path of the gouge leading around the western limb of the mountain, and it appears to the trail goes around that and then disappears between two ridges that come out and form like a natural like little hollow that the trail disappears into. And you remember that from your city that there was a large cargo garage there
Mm.
where in very old days, a thousand years ago, when the when when the elder gnomes were still making great steamworks, they would send them out to the other great civilizations and sell them these great tools that they would build. But that was before all the other races turned against you, and and everyone started hating gnomes.
Okay. Well, then now that I remember that it's there, I'm gonna head in that direction.
Okay. You're able to you can either continue to follow the path in its meandering thing around the side, or you can cut directly across like a knee of the mountain to get there faster and go
Yeah,
kind
I'd
of like
like to
as the
cut
crow flies.
directly across.
Okay. So you start so you take that you discover that path pretty quickly, and you start cutting across the foliage and up to the side of the mountain. And give me a moment, I need to roll a couple of things.
Okay, I'm gonna go grab a tissue paper really quickly.
Already. Oh jeez, boy, that's gonna stop the recording here. I'm gonna go